play Game 1, and will likely be throughout the tournament, unless possibly in the finals. He could be the lower seed.
Which he'd be against green-white aggro with his Blasphemous Boros Reckoner deck. So I think he'd be just fine being on the draw there if that's the matchup he's going to be against. But we are underway here in the quarterfinals of SCG Dallas. Join us on Twitter at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDAL for your tweets to finish out the evening here, as Krisan has started off with a Blood Crypt. And we see an Overgrown Tomb into an Arbor Elf here for McNeely.
Right.
So a good start. I mean, does have a mana accelerant, and McNeely's deck list does have a, I think, so he's on 7 of them. He's got 4 Arbor Elves and 3 Avacyn's Pilgrims. As Krisan is going to get his engine online to begin with, here he has a Blood Artist.
Right, at least, so as we saw last time when Krisan was playing against Philip Robinson, a fellow top 8 competitor, those Blood Artists allowed him to really just turtle up and then combo finish in these games. He's really punishing Aaron for playing a lot of cards that are like too cute for their own good. Aaron has 3 Acidic Slimes in the main, he has 2 Sin Collectors in the main, a lot of cards that really just don't pack a lot of punch in this matchup.
McNeely was a little frustrated there as he just played a Temple Guard and said go. He could have, if he wanted to, cast a Fiend Hunter to take care of that Blood Artist, but he chose not to. It begs the question on what's he looking for with the Fiend Hunter, but it's probably just the Boros Reckoner.
Right, and that'll be a great target for it too. Really though, what I found interesting is at least the last match when we saw Zach, those Blasphemous Acts in his deck just did so much hard work for him. He was setting up these board states where each person would play like 3 to 4 creatures. Zach would have a Blood Artist in play, and then he just Blasphemous Act the entire board.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this deck is trying to set up. I mean, it is, kind of an aggressive deck, but it's more of like this aggressive combo deck where it has like this grand finish that you're always trying to set up, and hopefully you either have the Blasphemous Act already or you draw one on time. But Fiend Hunter is going to kind of make things a little bit difficult here, as it's probably going to take care of this Reckoner, which it does, and then Arbor Elf can come across again.
What it does do is it opens the board for a possible Falconwrath Aristocrat here. Fiend Hunter is, as we know, flyers are one of the great ways to attack Reanimator, and Fiend Hunter is one of the few answers that Aaron actually has to a Falconwrath Aristocrat.
And speak of the devil.
Did he just draw one?
And he shall appear.
Oh man,
I was
so good at this today.
I was like pretty sure you were from the future, but now I'm like certain.
No, completely.
Certain from the future.
Well, I did pick him to win, so now like, clearly he's just going to unturn 4. It's time to draw an Aristocrat, right? I think it's actually he has 2 in his hand. I think that was his second one.
So Cavern of Souls is going to come in. We'll figure out what Cavern is naming. It could,
I don't think it particularly matters.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal here, especially in this matchup, but it could be. And one of the reasons for that is because McNeely does have access to Acidic Slimes, so he could blow up the red source, and then maybe a card is difficult.
The scary thing here, if I don't believe Aaron has a Thragtusk in his hand. Without a Thragtusk in his hand, he's got to be terrified of just another Aristocrat next turn.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what he's at 14. They'll put him to 6 with a Blood Artist in play. Like, oh boy. And the Cavern named Advisor.
Okay. And so now here we see an Acidic Slime here from McNeely. We'll see what that's going to take out. I would be surprised if it wasn't the Blood Crypt.
Yeah, he's got to get the red source here.
Yep, and Blood Crypt is going to go to the bench. Here comes Fiend Hunter. But as you said, I mean, he can just fly over for not the win yet, but just like a lot of damage. As you look at McNeely's hand, he has 2 lands in Forest Cavern of Souls, and Unburial Rites and a Sin Collector, so he doesn't have very much action.
He has no way to stop it. Like, he's just gonna, a 4/1 haste flyer can deal his entire life total. I mean, it's basically on a 3-turn clock because of the Blood Artist.
Yep.
So Aaron really needs to find a Thragtusk, or maybe an Angel, Restoration Angel, though not because it blocks, but because that'll let him reset the Fiend Hunter.
Sure. So in for 4 more, excuse me. McNeely's going to go down to 10. Here comes a Vault of the Archangel. And is he going to have any play here from him? Or is he happy?
Clearly he doesn't have the second Aristocrat. I probably must have been mistaken in that one. 3 cards left in hand. We know very little about them.
The only person that knows is Krisan. He's hiding them pretty well. It looks like he's just going to pass the turn back, maybe?
And I would think with the Blood Artist in play, he wants to, if he has the option, he wants to commit to the board more. There's not really too much of a penalty for doing so.
Yeah. But he does just pass the turn back, so McNeely's going to draw his card. Let's see what he finds.
So if you're reading on Krisan, what are the non-spell, what are the non-creature options in Krisan's hand? If you look at the list, what are you putting on? Maybe more lands. That's the first thing I would think.
Yeah, something that happens a lot with this deck. Additionally, I mean, Tragic Slip, because I don't think it right now is worth it to Tragic Slip an Arbor Elf. Like because you have a sacrifice outlet and Falkenrath Aristocrat, you can just do better with Tragic Slip.
Yep.
So I mean that card's probably in his hand. I think any creature he would have played, though Obsidian Ghost Council is a consideration here because his mana's all over the place right now.
Well, we're gonna get to see Sin Collectors coming from Aaron, and of note, with next turn he also has the Angel of Serenity play.
Yep. And so now this might potentially draw out a Tragic Slip, and you can see in Krisan's hand.
There's a Blasphemous.
There's a Blasphemous Act. I think there's a red source there in Blood Crypt that he was sandbagging to try to set a trap, and then Tragic Slip.
Next turn he was trying to go red source, act, win.
Yep. And you see his hand right now. There is a Blasphemous Act, there's that Tragic Slip, and there's a Blood Crypt. So he was trying to trap McNeely.
So yeah, Zach clearly a really seasoned pilot here. What he can do with the Tragic Slip is hold on to it for some insurance against Angel of Serenity. And it was Blasphemous Act was very quickly exiled by Aaron.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Yeah, and because he has the answer to that Angel of Serenity, I still feel, because there's no Thragtusk from Aaron, that Aaron's in a difficult spot, despite the fact that he's going to get to cast his 5/6.
Can't disagree with you. So here comes the Fiend Hunter, here comes the Arbor Elf, here comes the Acidic Slime. In for 4, Krisan going to move down to 13. He's going to draw his card for the turn.
Well, if Aaron, so he's going to hit him to 6. If Aaron goes for the Angel, he's actually going to die. So what'll happen is, well, I suppose nothing will be dead that turn. So maybe he has to maybe he won't be able to turn on the Tragic Slip.
Yeah.
That's actually a better argument.
The one thing that he can do is he can just Tragic Slip the Arbor Elf to keep him a turn away. Like, you have to have this feeling, if you're Krisan, that, like, you know, okay, he has access to 6 mana, and he hasn't cast all the cards in his hand, so, I mean, there's probably an Angel of Serenity looming somewhere, and you just take care of the Arbor Elf.
I was going to say, otherwise, he actually has a meta life total where, a safe life total if it's not for the Angel. Blood Crypt into play tapped, and we're going to see another play from Krisan. He's drawn some sort of business.
2 mana.
And it's another Blood Artist, I think? And it is another Blood Artist.
So 6, Tragic Slip the Elf puts him down to 4, Sacrifice the Blood Artist puts him down to 2.
Okay,
yeah,
so now
he can't finish him.
No, he actually can't. Hold on. I believe he can. So if he plays the Angel, he sacrifices a Blood Artist to the Aristocrat, puts Aaron at 5. Tragic Slips the Angel, puts Aaron at 4. Then next turn, recasts Aristocrat, swings for the remaining 2.
Okay, got it.
So if he taps out for the Angel, Aaron's dead.
Okay. He's tapping 7 mana.
The thing is, Aaron can't make this play because he knows he's dead in this situation. He knows there's a slip in Krisan's hand.
Maybe he hopes he makes a mistake.
I mean, maybe that's the only line he has, right?
So here's Angel of Serenity.
Can Zach see the win? I think it's here. Unless I said something wrong there, please let me know. I think he has the winning line here.
So he's going to target here, here, and here. And so the play that you're advising is he sacrifices a Blood Artist.
Okay, and then he goes to 5, right?
So he sacrifices the Blood Artist, and he goes down to there'll be 2 triggers. So it'll push McNeely down to 4, Krisan up to 15, and then that resolves. Then you let the Angel of Serenity resolve.
Take them both.
Take them both. Then you Tragic Slip because Morbid has happened.
He's at 4. You get both the cards back.
You get back.
You want tap and swing?
Yeah, you tap and swing. Okay.
I mean, I think it's there.
I see it as well. I'm in agreement with you. Let's see if Krisan sees it.
And when you're on camera, this is one of those situations where even if you do see it, you're like, okay, you probably count it 2 or 3 times to make sure that it actually works.
Yeah, and there's no shame in that. You want to make sure that you get it right.
Yeah. Okay, and
I mean, truthfully, it is like, I don't want to say counterintuitive, but it's a little complicated. Like, how many times have you actually been in this situation? Like, you're facing down Angel of Serenity, and like you have this interesting way to go about getting a kill here with Tragic Slip.
I feel like if you played enough games with the Aristocrats all the time, this is like how they win half their games.
Yeah.
It's just, really, really convoluted lines. That's why the deck's, it's not very beginner friendly.
Yeah.
And he makes the play right there. Drains him down to, and I think once you see this play, I have to think you see the rest of the line, because then there's this big 4 staring at you on another guy's life pad, and you think, well, what do I have in my deck that deals 4,
So he sacrifices both Blood Artists.
Interesting. So the question is whether you'd sack one or both.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to knock McNeely down to 3 from 3 triggers. Krisan's going to go up to 16.
And actually, that's correct. It gives him more life points. I mean, it doesn't matter. McNeely's tapped out.
Yeah.
Right? As long as he sees the play, it's...
Yeah, he's just going to
End step is going to slip the Angel.
Yeah, I'll take the damage, slip the Angel, and then just kill you with the Aristocrat. And McNeely's going to pick up his cards. So Krisan is going to win game number 1 here with the Aristocrats against Junk Reanimator in what was, I feel, a very well played game by the Aristocrats pilot.
Yeah, no, and we've seen that from Zach all tournament long. Round 4 against Hunter Burton, round 8 against Philip Robinson. Really knows what he's doing. It's how he went undefeated through the Swiss.
And so we are going to bring it back to the booth because, Bias, it is trivia time.
Yeah. So trivia time. If this is your first time joining us in an SCG Top 8, if you've stayed with us all day, there's a little prize you can win right now.
That's correct. Trivia, basically, this time I'm going to start. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and we're going to give away 3 months of premium this time, 6 months for the semifinals tomorrow morning, and 12 months for the finals tomorrow morning. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. 3 months this go around. Going to ask you a question. Hashtag the answer with the hashtag on Twitter, SCG Premium.
All right.
And then we will select from one of the people who do get it correct. So again, it is about accuracy, not speed. And we will announce it after the quarterfinals is over, before we wrap it up.
You have until the end of the quarterfinal match to tweet the correct answer.
That is correct. And the question that follows, it's a real softie. So if you get this wrong, you should feel bad. So that's right.
That's a great. As a teacher, I'm like, that's a great motivational way to tell people.
Thank you.
All right, class. Here's a question, and you should feel bad if you don't know it.
That's right.
Thanks. All right.
Because it's like it's a bit of a lob, a softball here. In the Aristocrats, there are 3 sorceries in the deck that cost 9 mana.
Whew, that's a.
Yeah, that's right.
Do all 3 of them have the same name?
They do. They do.
Okay.
All 3 copies of the sorcery cost 9 mana. If you're able to name that sorcery, hashtag your answer on.
How would you ever get 9 lands in play? That makes no sense.
Yeah, that's insanity.
Why would get that? I don't know. Okay.
But if you're able to name that card, hashtag the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. Again, we will select one winner from the people who do get it correct. Again, about accuracy, not speed. You have until the end of the round to name this 9 mana sorcery. Best of luck to you.
All right.
So we're going to cut back over to the patch. We're going to take a look at the sideboards here, and we'll go over the Junk sideboard first because he's going to be on the play.
Right. So Aaron McNeely's on the play with Junk. So what we saw our last player do against the Aristocrats is we saw them board in 4 of the 4 Voice of Resurgences. We also saw them board in Garruk Relentless in the matchup.
Okay.
And I also think Sever the Bloodline has a place here. You probably want every possible answer to Falconwrath Aristocrat that your deck can muster up. It's the best card against you by far.
I agree, 100%. So I know those cards are coming in. I mean, any idea what's coming out here? Like, well, I don't think the Sin Collector's great, but it's not terrible.
Okay, so first look, how many do I want to board in? I want to board in 4 Voice. I want to board in 2 Garruk. I want to board in 1 Sever. I guess I could even play some Abrupt Decays. If there's more things I want to take out. I don't like Sin Collector. I don't like Acidic Slime in this matchup.
I don't like Acidic Slime at all.
Blowing up a land, as we saw there, didn't even do anything.
Yep.
And there's no enchantments for, there's no good targets for it. It's a really bad card in this matchup. So 5 cards to come out. I'd probably take out, the 2 Fiend Hunters, the 3 Acidic Slimes. I want to play that second Garruk, so I might cut down on. I might shave down on another card, possibly, maybe only 2 Angel of Serenity. 3's a lot.
Okay.
Maybe that's the wrong card. I'm not sure what the, you can always, I know you can always cut a Mulch or a Gristly Salvage as well.
Yeah, you can always chop one of those. I mean, oftentimes you see people cut down on a Mulch or 2 in sideboarded games.
Especially if you're worried about Graveyard Hate.
Yeah.
And remember, these players do have access to each other's deck lists when choosing the sideboard.
And one thing that McNeely does not have to be scared of is Graveyard Hate, because you're not going to find any here. His sideboard, 3 Liliana of the Veil, a Blasphemous Act, and the additional one, so it'll be 4 after sideboard, a Dreadboard, Electrickery, 1 copy of Wear Tear, 2 Underworld Connections, 2 Thundermaw Hellkites, and 4 Mark of Mutinies. There's a lot of different ways that they can go as far as game planning is concerned. I think you want the additional Blasphemous Act because the combo is so good against Junk Reanimator, and it's not really all that difficult to set up that you're going to want to move in that direction.
Well, Junk has to play a lot of creatures too, so your Blasphemous Act's always online in this matchup.
Yeah, and you want to draw one very badly in this matchup.
Especially if you think he's keeping in Sin Collectors, which I don't think he is, but if you do think he is, you maybe even want an Insurance one, as we saw there. Like, it was just for the win on the board, if Aaron couldn't take it.
Yeah. The other card that's a big deal here is Mark of Mutiny. As he has 4 copies of that, and he has, of course, the 8 Aristocrats.
That's huge.
So he can take and sacrifice a thing, but he can take an Angel of Serenity, attack for the win, take a Thragtusk, sacrifice it, get his own guy, also attack for 5 or 6 with it. Excuse me, because of the +1/+1 counter. I think Mark of Mutiny is really where you want to be in this matchup. And again, flyers are a big deal, as we said.
Hellkite.
So he has the 2 copies of Thundermaw to go along with those 4 copies of Falconwrath Aristocrat, and I think the card that's at its weakest here is another 5-mana spell in Krisan's deck in Obsidat, so I think that's a natural transition.
Yeah, Obsidat doesn't actually break through in this matchup. The reason you play Obsidat is because he's near impossible to answer. That said, Reanimator doesn't try to answer him. They just go over the top of him.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. I'd rather play a 5-drop that actually can kill him, and that would be the Thundermaw.
I think I'm with you there too.
Interestingly enough, so what I think is a good matchup for the Aristocrats, actually post-board I think only gets better for that deck. You know, after both decks make their changes, I think Krisan is a stronger favorite than he already was.
Yeah, I think I agree with you overall, and it certainly doesn't help that McNeely is going to be taking a mulligan down to at least 6 here, and we'll see if Krisan's going to keep his 6. You see at least one copy of Blasphemous Act in his hand. Can't make out the rest of those cards, but it looks like he's happy. Looks like he has a couple of other red cards in his hand, potentially Mark a Mutant he's hanging out over there. You see a Falconwrath Aristocrat, a Sacred Foundry. Yeah, he's got at least one mark in his hand, so his hand looks like it's it seems like it's at least close to keepable.
Right. And so we have you said McNeely is on 6, right?
Yeah, he's taking at least one mulligan.
Okay.
And Krisan's going to take a mulligan as well. So we're going to report very quickly just another match that's going on here. Jose Cervantes
winning game 1 against Ken Yeo. Kind of what you were saying, the green-white aggro deck, you know, he's just very solid with the deck. Defeating our blue-white-red player in the first game.
Yep. I mean, that matchup's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's why we made it the backup match, because we got a feeling that one's probably going to go all 3.
Yeah.
And it might be a player who's on the play ends up winning.
I think Jose and Zach, one of the things that we're noticing here is it's always great to talk about matchups in terms of the deck lists, but you should never forget to talk about it in terms of the players. You know, like those two, there's a reason there are 2 undefeated players, and you have to think that in a matchup that's close, they're probably the favorites.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I mean, again, as you said, matchups aren't played on paper. I mean, you can analyze who you think is going to win, but
everyone to make it into the top 8 today, no one broke the format today, so everyone won at least one bad matchup on their way to the top 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true.
Ooh. Right, that was the wrong card to flip face up. I mean, okay, they have each other's deck lists.
Yes.
So that's fair. So if they didn't, that's one of those things you're like, why did it have to be that card? Like, why wasn't it a land? Like,
yeah, if you're McNeely, you're probably thinking, yeah, he's probably boarding in some number of Mark Mutinies, but now that has been confirmed.
Right.
That sucks.
I
I think we've all been there at some point. I mean, for you guys at home, where like you're sideboarding or like you're shuffling and a card comes face up, and you're like, I wish it didn't happen.
Right.
It's definitely happened to me in a lot. It's happened way more than I'd like to admit.
We had one of those. What is it? At the PT, I forgot who it was on our teammates. He said he was shuffling for his first round match, dropped a card of his deck, and the one card he dropped was Maze's End, and he's just like, of all the cards, that was the one I had to drop. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm playing that. By the way.
To be fair, I think there's a lot of tip-offs in that deck. If you reveal a card, it's like, oh yeah, it's a Orzhov Guildgate. Oops.
No, Esper plays some of
Right,
those.
whatever the bad Guildgate is, that's not.
There's a lot of bad ones. Which one do you want?
Fine.
In fact, there's all of them. You know, there's probably not too many people like Boros Guildgate.
Yeah, that's
biggest.
the one.
You're just like, well, yeah, your Boros deck likes coming to play tapped lands, huh? And it'd be like, yeah, sure, that's a good one.
The boost right now is Sacred Foundry. Don't judge me, man. So both players are going to take a look at their 6 cards here. They're happy, and McNeely's going to start it off with an Arbor Elf.
Do you feel like the 6-card hand favors either player over the other one?
You know, not too much. Honestly, I think both these decks are decks that actually do mulligan pretty well. I think the Junk Reanimator deck mulligans better because they have Grizzly Salvage and Mulch to undo mulligans, but
they're also playing 7 drops. You know, the other deck's not. You know, Zach could. If Zach stops on 4 lands, he's happy. If Aaron does, he's miserable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think because of that, you're right. One has card advantage and one doesn't need as many lands. It's pretty much a wash.
McNeely's hand right now is he's kind of passing the turn back a little bit disgruntled. He has 3 lands of varying colors and an Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I did not see that Grizzly.
Okay, that makes it way better. Now he needs to hope that he hits gas on this. If he hits a burial rates.
4 and 5. So the cards there are Angel Serenity, Arbor Elf, Grizzly Salvage, Forest, and Cavern Souls. It's not the best Grizzly Salvage.
Do you think he's taking the Arbor Elf because he said he has a lot of lands already?
Yeah. I mean, you think he just wants to keep accelerating?
No matter what he's taking a land, right?
Sure.
At the end of the day,
I guess that's true. Like he's taking a mana source. I mean, he is taking a mana source if he takes Arbor Elf. That does add to the Blasphemous Act count. So I mean, that's something to be cognizant of.
The reason I think to take Cavern here is when you think about what's the hardest spell to cast in your deck. It's Angel of Serenity, right?
Sure.
And right now, so he has to build up to triple white, taking Arbor Elf and Forest. Neither of them do that because he doesn't have a Temple Garden.
Sure.
So, I don't know. That to me seems like a heads-up pick.
All right, Aaron going to draw a card. It's a Sun Petal Grove.
It's interesting enough when talking about like whether decks are better on the mulligan. I kind of have a theory where it's like when people mulligan, I usually give the edge to the deck that's on the draw all of a sudden.
Just because they get an extra card?
Yeah, because I think the reason you want to be in the play is Temple, right? Otherwise, it's worse.
Sure.
Tempo doesn't matter, and I think on 6 card hands don't Tempo as well.
Yeah,
So I, usually like if I'm gonna mull the 5 mirror, I love being on the draw. I'm just like I'm so far ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm definitely there. I'm definitely there with you on that.
The mulls to 5. On mulls to 6, you're not sure it's switched over yet.
Yeah, I'm not like entirely sure, but yeah, if it's a mull to 5 war, yeah, I want to be on the draw every time.
More cards, great. Divination, sure.
Yeah. All right, so McNeely's going to draw a card here, and Krisan did not have a third land, so McNeely is having like a huge issue with like all of this mana flooding, but at the same time, he has enough lands to cast like whatever gigantic thing he draws, be it a Thragtusk, be it an Angel of Serenity down the road, be it this Voice of Resurgence right now.
And that should buy him a fair amount of time. His one worry, I think, has still got to be, Falconwrath Aristocrat. If Zach has one of those on turn 4, there's no way in his hand to stop it yet.
And Zach did not draw a land yet again, so he's in some real trouble here as he drew another Doom Traveler. And I think the scary thing here is like McNeely's draws are way better than Krisan's in this spot. Like Krisan needs to draw lands.
Same McNeely draws Thragtusk, and you'd be like,
yeah, it's like Thragtusk, Restoration Angel, Unburial Rights on that Angel of Serenity. All of his draws are awesome right now.
Yeah, Krisan needs lands. He needs lands before McNeely draws a spell, and so far so good. But I mean, yeah, he's one card from being in a really bad position. And see if he gets there. It looks like he has vaulted the Archangel. All right, that works. It's not a colored land.
Yeah, it's a land. It's not the best land because now he can't cast Boros Reckoner, but he can cast Lingering Souls. Okay, so that's a start.
Yeah, and that actually buys him some insurance. If he misses his next land drop, at least he has something else he can do. I think his hand has double Aristocrat, double Falconwrath in it. So as soon as he hits that next land, it's off to the races.
And he does have a Blasphemous Act in his hand as well.
Right. Interesting. So yeah, we've seen every time so far when we've seen him play, we've seen Blasphemous Act and the power it has in conjunction with Blood Artist. Here we're gonna see, there's the trick of making your Aristocrats indestructible and then just Blasphemous Acting offensively.
Yep. McNeely draws another land and just passes the turn back.
Right. So he's looking for an Unburial Rights. He's looking for a Grisly Salvage because that'll probably find him an Unburial Rights or some monster to cast.
And now we see Krisan does draw an Isolated Chapel for the turn, so back-to-back lands, and yeah.
All right. I mean, McNeely has about one turn to suddenly draw this out.
Yeah. The clock has been shortened in a big way now because the 4th land has shown up. Here's a Falconwrath Aristocrat, and 6 in the air is what's going to happen here. So McNeely's going to go down to 12. And, like, he's had Abrupt Decay in his hand the entire game, and, like, the only target in this matchup that Abrupt Decay is very good against is Boros Reckoner, and it's just not here.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine against Blood Artist, I suppose. That's another good target for it. I mean, not great, but it's fine. Yeah, the question is whether or not you actually want the Abrupt Decays in, and you can see McNeely clearly frustrated.
I mean, it's pretty hard not to be.
I mean, yeah. He kept on 6, Arbor Elf lands, Grisly Salvage, and literally hasn't hit a spell.
So Temple Garden is the draw for McNeely this turn, and he's just going to play that tap and just pass the turn back. Krisan's going to draw a card. He has another Aristocrat, as you say. He just drew a Blood Artist, which, it isn't... Well, I mean, it's not bad.
Actually, if he swings... No, he's dead this turn, because he swings, and then he plays Blood Artist and Blasphemous Axe. Isn't that... I think that's actually just lethal right now.
Well, I mean, we know that McNeely has an Abrupt Decay in his hand, so we can kind of break that up. I actually think what
Krisan was supposed to play the Aristocrat there as the safe.
I actually think that he was supposed to play the Blood Artist immediately, and he has 2 humans in play for Falconwrath Aristocrat. So he plays Blood Artist, and then he attacks, and he goes, all right, sacrifice Doom Traveler. You take 1 from the drain, and you take an additional 1 for the
that seems like a little more aggressive than he actually needs to be. I'd rather just have that insurance policy in case he does something else. Like in case he kills that Blood Artist. Like, things are going so well for you. Why screw it up right now?
Sure.
Yeah. So post combat, he's gonna go with the Blood Artist, and he's just gonna start. Yeah, he's gonna go Blood Artist, Flashback, Lingering Souls, and that's also just lethal.
Yeah. So, yeah, he does. I mean, he's in a fantastic situation anyway, and McNeely's just going to concede the game. So, Zach Krisan, who you thought was going to
I think he's the favorite to win the match and the top 8. We'll see him again tomorrow morning in the top 4 as he handily, once again, 2-0, defeats another Reanimator deck. Moves in. He'll play the winner of Drew Ifredi and Aaron Barich, one of them which will be, basically a red aggro deck.
Yep. And, I mean, this deck is well positioned in that matchup anyway.